Hey, Cory.
Hey, Dr. Lil, how's
How you
everything?
doing? Oh, I'm doing great.
You ready for our first episode of the Heavy Topics and Lighter Lives?
I'm so excited.
Oh
I'm so
my
excited.
goodness. This is just a blessing. We talked about this for a long time
Yeah.
and we finally took action behind it.
Exactly.
I'm super excited.
Me
We got
too.
a nice studio.
Mm-hmm.
We got some great topics today, but why don't we jump into talking about ourselves and how we got to where we are today?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, again, thanks, Cory, for just being my partner in crime in this, for sure.
Always,
I mean, we
always.
have so much fun together, and it's just a lot of fun to just be together and kind of tell our story. And I know that our purpose is to help people, educate people, just talk about what our experiences are,
Right.
So I think I want to start with you first, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's dive right
So,
in.
you and I have known each other for 2 years now or
Yep.
so. I mean, we're so close. You're like my brother.
Yeah.
Love you like my brother.
Love you too.
And thank you. I like that. I get very shy about that, but I like that a lot. But you're super special to me. And yeah, you might have started off as my patient, but you just grew into so much more.
Right.
And I just want to know, I want you to share with the audience,
Right.
they can see how special you are, but I want them to hear your history,
Right.
kind of like how you transcended from point A to point B to where you are now. We're sitting together doing this podcast, having all these wild dreams of how we want to help people.
Right.
Take us back to where did that start from?
I think I'll start from when I really started gaining weight. I think growing up as a kid, I was always the bigger kid in the class.
How old
definitely
are
not
we
the
talking
tallest.
about here?
Let's go back to maybe like 4th, 5th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when kind of like everyone's playing sports, but at the same time, you see most of the kids are very skinny, small, very active. I've always been the kid that's been big but active. I can play any sport, but I was just always the bigger guy. And people would always be like, oh, he's chubby or like he's stocky, right? And I always was like, okay, just say I'm fat, right? like,
Right.
but to say that.
How
But
did that feel as a kid, though?
as a
at
kid,
that age?
But it's funny, as a kid, you're very smart. You actually pick up on those things. People say it and it seems like a joke in the moment. Everyone's laughing, but as a kid, you remember every time someone says something.
Did it hurt?
Yeah, definitely hurt a lot. Definitely hurt. And I think I took that on just like emotionally. I think that's why I got so close to food. Sports was my first love. Food was my second. Even though I love my family, but food was one of the first things or the only things I really looked forward to besides sports.
Right.
Really didn't care much for school. I did it because I knew I had to
Right.
and because I had to get smart. But truthfully, I was just like, if it's not sports, I'm going to go home and eat and I'm going to stuff my face until I'm in a coma. And essentially, that's kind of how I ate throughout the years. I would eat and eat and eat. And I'm not chasing a full feeling. I'm chasing the feeling of I just want to pass out and go to sleep. So that was a very bad habit I developed from a young age. And then now leading into high school, you're dealing with, your personal life, the hormones changing. You're dealing with, okay, now you physically start seeing your bodies changing. Like the kids who were in shape and playing soccer, they're now taller. They've got the look. Me, now I'm getting even wider. So now I'm like, okay, what do I do? Like, I have to hit the reset button at some point. I can't keep gaining weight here. So now college comes, the first day of college. I wake up in the morning, my bed is full of blood. And now I'm like, what is going on? So I go to the hospital, and the whole time in the car ride there, I couldn't sit down. Like, I was in so much pain. I go to the hospital. They're like, Cory, you have a pilonidal cyst. And for people who don't know, it's basically a ball of hair that forms over time. It can form close to your spine, higher up, lower, through your butt crack. It can just form. And you have to get surgery to get it out, or else it's going to infect the rest of your body and spread. So ended up having surgery. The surgeon goes, you'll be done in a couple of days. You'll be back to normal. You'll be able to go to school. 3 weeks later, I'm like, I still can't sit down. Like, I don't feel comfortable. The stitches aren't closing because at this point, I'm still big. I'm a big kid. So
Do you know how much you weighed at that point?
I had to be a lot more than everyone else in the 240s, 250s. So, I mean, 250 for a kid in high school, I mean, yes, it's big, but I also didn't have height on my side, too. So, if you don't have height, you're growing wider instead of vertically.
Right.
So, I'm just like, so now I'm talking to the doctor, and he's like, because you have the extra weight, it's going to take longer to heal. But he can't give me an exact answer because he's like, I don't know. And he said I was his first patient that ever had this problem. He said every patient healed up in a couple of days and they were good to go. Mm-hmm. So then what ends up happening is it gets infected. And I'm taking showers 2-3 times a day to make sure it's not getting infected. Mm-hmm. Still got infected. Ended up finding out that more grew. So then I had to get a second surgery.
Wow.
So now throughout this whole process, now it's about a year and a half. And I'm like, so now I really am just eating. I'm home. And I'm just like, what do I do? Like, I can't go to school. I'm just feel like I'm just sitting here. I'm like trying to figure stuff out, but I'm like, nothing's moving. Like, I feel like I'm just stuck right now. Mm-hmm. And then, and also prior to all of this, I was still DJing, but it'd be like I'd go DJ and come back home really quick because I couldn't stand long because of my back pain and all that stuff.
Right. Just for the timeline purpose, how old were you at this point?
Graduating high school, what's that? Like 17, around there, 18. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, everyone's thinking about colleges and where they want to go, and I'm just like, I need to figure out like a job and maybe go to a community college and just figure out, life and figure out stuff like that. So, and so trying to deal with just not being healthy with the food choices, dealing with back pain, mm-hmm. Your family's like, what is going on? Like, this can't be healed. So you're like stuck right now. You can't make any moves right now. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, now I got to do something.
But at this point, did a pediatrician or a doctor or a primary care physician ever say, hey, look, it could be related to your weight? Is there anything that we can do about your weight at this point? Maybe be referred to a nutritionist or?
No.
Did you try any diets at that point?
So throughout my entire life, throughout some of those years into my adult years, I've tried HCG, I've tried semaglutide, Ozempic. I've tried being a pescatarian, vegan. I've tried the carnivore diet. Mm-hmm. Any diet out there, I've probably tried it at least one time.
Right.
And nothing seemed to work. I've tried getting a trainer for about a month just so I can get a routine down. Mm-hmm. I didn't need someone to spend a whole year with me. I just wanted to get a routine, and then I come on my own. And then, this way, like, they could teach me the machines, teach me like a nice routine to build every week. So decided to do that. Was going good, but didn't really see any real weight loss. And I tried following his meals. And, they kind of don't, I guess, depending on who you get, right? But this specific trainer didn't really tailor it to how I want it to be. He was just super strict, like, just eat like 700 calories, burn 2,000, and you're going to see the weight come off, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you can't tell someone that who's addicted to food.
Right.
If I'm telling you I eat carbs every day, 3 times a day, maybe 4 times a day, what makes you think I'm going to drop it down to 700 and then now all of a sudden, the weight's going to fall
not
off?
Very
no,
realistic,
it's not. Right.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened. I had the trainer, lost a couple pounds. I gained back triple than what I started with.
What weight were you at then?
Probably in the like 280s. Okay. Like I put on like almost 70, 80 pounds of just being home for those 2 years.
Right.
And then, as you kind of continue to grow in your adulthood, mm-hmm. Things happen. And anytime any depression or anything happened in my life, I would use food as the comfort food. Mm-hmm. So I still speak to this day, like, food was always my comfort. If I was sad, I ate. If I was happy, I ate. If it was a holiday, a celebration, I ate. Mm-hmm. And I hated eating my feelings. Right. So eventually, now, to fast forward, which also tailors into the pilonidal cyst, I was researching online that if you get this bariatric surgery and lose enough weight, it should heal on its own. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to the doctor, which I won't expose any names on here, but talking to the nurse and the team. And I was like, that's one of my biggest goals. If I get this bariatric surgery, can I have a hope that it'll either close up or I can just have a quality of life? Even if it doesn't close and I don't go and get surgery, can I just have a quality of life? And they said it's a possibility, but obviously we can't make any promises, but you will lose weight.
Right.
And
So your focus to go for bariatric surgery, it sounds to me, is because you tried everything, diets, exercise, trainers, etc. But you mainly went in to get metabolic and bariatric surgery to treat a condition, but not the weight per se or the eating per se.
Honestly, no, it was really for the cyst because, I mean, I still was going about my daily life. I still was, at this point now, I'm currently in the tech space, in the cybersecurity space, but I still was just going to be like, you know what, this is what I have. I'm just going to live with it. And then at some point go to a plastic surgery and get it closed. And that was just my main goal. I know most people are like, I'm doing it for the weight loss or I'm trying to achieve a certain number on the scale. But for me, I think going in with that, I was so fed up. I'm like, because it stops everything. Like having that, your quality of life is not the same. Dating is not the same. Like you got to tell people, hey, I've got this. I'm super clean. But at the same time, like there's a possibility it can even leak. It can get infected again. So then I would be forced to have surgery. So it was a tough couple years dealing with that. And I just was fed up. And I'm like, what do I do? So I was talking to both my parents and my mom told me about the gastric sleeve because one of her friends got it. So I spoke to her, asked her about everything about it, and she's like, you're not going to regret it. I promise. You may have some complications, but she's like, you're not going to regret it. And then I started joining Facebook groups, and I saw there's like 500,000 people, over like millions of people on Facebook in different groups just talking about their experiences and how it changed their life. And just I had gone onto YouTube and was watching vlogs of people who filmed inside the hospital the day of their surgery, and they're like nervous, and then they posted videos after that talking about like 1 month post-op, 6 months post-op, and then you start seeing like they're so much happier, and every person was like, why didn't I get this sooner?
Right.
And that was just, I don't know, I think seeing that was like, okay, with the diets you're gonna lose weight, but is there a confirmation that you're gonna lose it? And then I think, getting to meet the wonderful Dr. Lillian here, the best nutritionist in the world, if you don't know. She has the credentials to back it up. But you confirmed a lot for me. I mean, there was times I'd show up to the call with like 30 questions, like, Dr. Lil, just please help me out here with this. I have, I did some of my own research, and I just want some clarity on XYZ, and you broke it down for me super easy to understand. And this is coming from someone who knew nothing about nutrition or reading labels or protein. Like, I did not look at anything. I just saw something that I liked and took it home. That's it, from the grocery store.
Well, what's really cool is that, you're a young guy going into metabolic and bariatric surgery. I've been in the field for over 25 years, and typically the age group that we see getting metabolic and bariatric surgery was always in like 40s and up.
Right.
You're in your 20s.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know you did a lot of research because I know that's who you are.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I know a lot of the insurance companies, they want certain things that you have to do before you get the surgery. And one of the requirements, I guess, was to have those nutrition visits, right?
Yes.
But I think it sounds like to me, and I'm glad that that's true, that we made the most out of those visits.
Definitely.
Because you're very engaged. I love that you had lots of questions. You really wanted to fully understand what was the surgery all about, how is it going to change my life, what were proteins, how do I read this, what if I have a challenge with this.
Right.
So you really went in very prepared. Eyes wide open, the best you could. Of course, after, it's always that personal journey, but you went in really prepared and really motivated. And what was so impressive to me as well, is not just your personality, of course, was just the fact that you did this because you knew, this is going to help my life. I'm a young guy. I don't want to wait until I'm 50 and I'm having bigger medical issues.
Right.
You went into this to say, hey, look, let's take care of this now. It's going to be it's a big decision for
Yeah.
sure to get metabolic and bariatric surgery because it is a responsibility.
Right.
It's not the, you know, get it and set it and forget it, that kind of
Right.
thing. It's you have to participate, you know.
No, and
It's
I feel like you played a big part in just giving me the confirmation I needed before surgery.
Oh,
Because
God.
even we talked about this when I lost 20 pounds.
Yep.
That's the first time I lost it and kept it off
Yep.
in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we sat and talked and said, is this what you want to do? Or if that you want, we can continue the sessions and we can just try to lose it naturally.
Right.
And you just made me feel so comfortable with the surgery. And then as soon as that you confirmed for me, like, Cory, I'm telling you, just if this is what you want to do it. I'll support you, and we can continue sessions afterwards. So this way I can keep up with your post-op journey and make sure you're staying on track. And that's exactly what we did. We
Yes.
followed program and haven't skipped a beat. And she's been here every step of the way. And even now that I'm not her patient, now look at us. We get to see that it's literally the results of us speaking every month. And, you know, also me getting to go to those support groups that you put on for us, right? You
right.
make sure that everyone's supported. It's not something that we're paying for every month, but you still show up. You still make sure, even if there's 2 people in there, you still make sure to impact 2 people's lives that day. So
Thanks,
that
Cory.
means the most to me, you know?
Wow.
And
I got to say, I think I'm getting more out of it.
you
I
think
mean,
so?
the way you guys have impacted my life, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's definitely amazing.
Yeah. And
But maybe tell for the audience, what was your highest weight going into surgery? And
So-
maybe
yeah.
what's your weight now?
So my highest weight ever in my life was about 370. And going into surgery, I was about 340. So I lost really like 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the 2 shakes a day with a protein for dinner. And that's it.
That was a pre-op diet?
Yeah. Before surgery, we did a pre-op diet. And we had to have the protein shakes, which is, well, I drank the Fairlife shakes, which are 42 grams of protein per bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I drank 2 of those, so 1 for breakfast, 1 for lunch, and then I had a protein for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked for me. I saw the weight loss coming off slowly, but I saw the changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gives you this confidence before surgery. Like, wait, if I just keep this up, then I'm going to be doing good after surgery.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't 100% sure, but you're like, something's improving here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think, too, if you start the healthy habits before you even have the surgery, it makes post-op way easier.
You're so right.
Yeah, for the people who aren't changing their eating habits and then after surgery, you can barely eat, you can't really drink as much, and now everything is so small.
Right.
And keep in mind, they do surgery on your stomach, not your brain. So I tell people, I'm
Exactly.
still a big boy up here, even though I've lost the weight,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So
How much do you weigh now?
now I'm 203 currently.
Yeah.
So to go from 370 at my highest to 203 and be comfortable,
Right.
even though I still want to lose like an extra 20, 30 pounds.
I think we talked about that too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's different ways to go about that. You know, I can do a body composition where I'm, okay, maybe I need to do more full body exercises,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I can, you know, lower carbs, add carbs, maybe have more calories, you know, because
Yeah, we need to talk about those carbs.
yeah.
You were afraid of carbs.
I was so scared of carbs. Carbs is the reason why I got so big. I had
Right.
pasta, which is my weakness. Dr. Lil knows this.
Mm-hmm.
Me and carbs are like besties, you know? We've been
Mhm.
that way for years. And I think after surgery, I was so scared because I'm like, what if I eat it and then I, quote unquote, relapse and I end up becoming addicted to the carb again? But
Right.
it didn't happen, thankfully. But I think it goes to before surgery, just building up the healthy habits so
Exactly.
much
Exactly.
that by the time I included carbs was like 6 months in almost.
And you were exercising tremendously.
And I was still going to the gym twice a day or
Mhm.
playing pickleball or,
Mhm.
you know, so
Yep.
that it's just everything that just went into it.
Mhm.
Just the way the months went, like it felt slow in the beginning and then it just speeds up so
Right.
much.
Right.
But
Well, you know what was interesting is that, yeah, your progress was amazing, right? You were very focused on the proteins, the vitamins, the fluids, the exercise. But then you got to that point where you plateaued because
Yes.
there was only so much you could do with the diet and the exercise. You had to manipulate parts of the diet
yeah,
because carbs aren't the enemy.
Yeah.
It's It's a different macro that's going to
Yes.
do different things in your body. And I think maybe that's what distinguishes me maybe from other nutritionists you might have seen or not seen, is I was trying to manipulate those carbs in a way where you needed them for your exercise.
Right.
Still being mindful that they might be a trigger for you, but I think you utilized it appropriately. Obviously, you proved that to yourself.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
as soon as you started to add them, you started to lose weight again.
Listen, carbs are your best friend, actually.
If you know how to use them right.
If you know how to use them right, carbs give you the energy for the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times, Dr. Lou, I went to the gym on no carbs, just a protein shake,
Right.
and almost passed out. So it's like when you follow what people who know what they're talking about are saying, I'm telling you, it just is a game changer. Like, you see the results.
Right.
The moment you told me add carbs, instantly saw the scale move.
Right.
It might not have been as fast as the beginning of surgery when I have all the water weight, and that's just 4 or 5 pounds a week, like at some point, because I was so active. So now that, it's going slow, but it's still coming off.
Right.
And I feel comfortable. I'm more confident. I feel like I have a second chance at life. I mean, even doing that DEXA scan, I got one done years ago, well, a couple years prior, and they told me that my metabolic age was in my 40s. And I'm like, I'm only 26 at that
There's
time.
nothing
I'm
wrong
like,
about being in your 40s.
no, it's nothing wrong with it. But if the metabolic age is twice my
No.
current age, I'm like, all right, something's off here. Like,
Right.
Right. So now I had went back this year and they said I'm 29, which I'm 28 currently, but I mean, at least it's on track.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
There you go.
but yeah, I definitely knew if I didn't have this gastric sleeve done, I would have been headed on a road that was, one, super depressing, wouldn't probably keep my job. And I would have probably just been a very unhappy person, to be honest. I think if I didn't.
Did you have
that.
any other conditions associated with your weight? Hypertension, diabetes,
So I
asthma?
had high blood pressure at one point, and then I was on the cusp of hypertension. And they said, once you hit that, you're gonna start taking medication. And I was like, nope, I can't. So
Right.
at that point, I said I have to make a choice here because it's just gonna get worse.
Right.
And it was like, it got to a point where everyday daily tasks couldn't become like normal for me. Like getting the mail, which is only 3 flights downstairs for me. My calves would be on fire by the time I even got the mail. Or like even putting clothes in the washer and the dryer machine,
Right.
which is like 20 steps inside of my apartment. Like I was in so much pain. My back would hurt. And I'm like, I can't even do simple chores. How do I expect to, finally meet someone and like try to treat them or take them out? Like if I can't even go on a date and be comfortable, right? Like imagine being able to walk around with someone and not have back pain and not feel like, oh my God, like I cannot wait for this date to be over because I'm in so much pain, right?
Right,
Like,
right,
so it's
right.
just your quality of life is so much better. And I also made a post about that on TikTok, and people seem to resonate with that. That like before surgery, you're just in this depressive mind state and you can't get out. It's just a vicious cycle. And then afterwards, you start realizing how much of life you've missed out on.
Right.
And I feel like right now, this is like a second chance at life. And I think that's also what keeps me so like going hard in the gym and just staying on this positive path I'm on right now. I think because people think I'm crazy. They're all like, how do you go to the gym twice a day? How do you make time for everything? Like you're trying to start the podcast, you're working hard, you're eating right, and like you eat clean, like your whole lifestyle has changed a full 360. And people are like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I think just knowing that I have a second chance now and I can
Right.
change it and I have control over that is what keeps me motivated. Like there's
Right.
sometimes I'm like, it is kind of late. Like I really don't want to go to the gym, but just being there, I don't know, it just adds fuel to the fire
Right.
and it just keeps me going.
Well, one of the
Really.
things that I hear being in practice is there's still a lot of stigma and bias behind people that have obesity, which is considered a pathophysiological disease, right? Metabolic and bariatric surgery is not the easy way out, right? It is a metabolic surgery. It's not a cosmetic surgery. But I still hear people saying, oh, you took the easy way out.
Right.
What would you say to those people?
this is even harder than losing it naturally. People don't understand. Like, naturally, you don't have to worry about any side effects. Yes, you might be a little hungry at night because you don't want to snack at night. But losing it naturally, you can, as long as you're getting your proteins in and you're making sure you're eating somewhat clean and you're active, you're going to lose the weight. But for someone who's a food addict and now you're telling them they got to cut their calories. I was eating almost 4,000 calories a day, almost. And that was just daily life for me. So you're telling me, okay, now I'm cutting everything. I'm having 2 shakes a day with a small protein. And now I got to be happy with that? Like, right. That's causing, you think it's easy. It sounds easy, but for people going through it, you're starving.
Right.
Like, my stomach was talking to me all night. I'm like, I don't know. Am I prepared for this? Like, I just was like, this can't be my life. Like, I can't lose weight naturally. So I'm doing this. And every night I was just questioning myself on that pre-op diet. Like, am I ready for this change? Because I'm like, it's so easy to see people doing it. But you're like, how did they go through this? Like, it seems so hard.
Right.
But eventually you get there, and it's a full lifestyle change after.
Right.
From the day you wake up after surgery to current, it's just, you don't know what to expect. Like me, I had complications. For the people who don't know, in the beginning, I had constipation, which was really bad. And I had to go to the hospital for that, but eventually got back on track and was able to, normally go to the bathroom, and that worked out. I did pass out like twice, but that was because I wasn't drinking enough of my liquids, my fluids. For some reason, it was very hard for me to drink. I got pain in my throat. So those first like couple weeks were very rough for me. And then as far as sleep, I really couldn't sleep. I developed insomnia for about the first 2 months. I was sleeping only 3-4 hours a night. So to the average person, they would be regretting that surgery. Like those first 3 weeks, I was like, why did I get this? Like, there is no, like, putting myself through this kind of stress just to lose weight sounds crazy. But in the end, when I finally was cleared to go to the gym, you start seeing your quality of life come back. You start seeing, okay, the complications are gone. Now I can focus on just working out, getting active. And slowly but surely, you start seeing these little changes and these small changes. And again, me starting this whole thing on TikTok, that's what really kept me going too, because now there's a whole community around you supporting you, because they're like, one, you are a guy posting yourself on TikTok, which most guys don't like doing that. And again, I think seeing someone from a different background with different culture, right? My family's from Trinidad. And one of the big things that me and Dr. Lillian talk about is we want to be able to keep our culture and still lose weight.
That's right.
So I also love shrimp. Curry is a big thing in my culture. So we make curry shrimp, and that's one of my favorite dishes to make to this day.
Right.
So for me, being able to keep my culture, yes, I went through complications, but in the end, you end up coming out way more confident, way more sure of your decision after surgery. And then now you get to build a community of people that love watching you, and they can resonate with you, and you're helping them.
Right.
Now it's just everything is a full 360 afterwards. So I think this whole journey just truly helped to just go from a person who was just in a dark spot to now it's like I can now use this as fuel and help other people. Like, I get so many emails and DMs from people that are like, thank you for posting this. Like, I actually needed to hear this today.
Right.
And people are going through so much. And if a video that I post, a 30-second video that I post changes their day or makes their day better, then I know I did my job.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
Dr. Lil's been doing this for years, so I'm just now getting a taste of this high that I'm on
cool.
right now,
Yep.
So
you had mentioned before that you still have that big guy in the brain.
Yep.
What do you see when you look in the mirror?
So currently, I'm actually happy with how I look. Even though, yes, the stomach kind of takes a while to go away. I've kind of come to terms with it, actually. I know some people were saying, are you going to get the skin surgery? I really don't want to now. I think I see it as this is just my battle scars, right? I think it's a sign that I took the leap of faith. I did it. I'm super active now. I will never go back to that old me ever. I don't care. Like, that's why I got all these tattoos on my weight loss journey. They all mean something close to me. And I just see it as I'm going to use this as fuel to just keep on going and try to impact more lives. And again, that also helped me to create a bariatric journal. And
Right.
I never saw myself creating anything bariatric related. I had no plans of that. But those couple
Describe what that
weeks.
journal is, though.
So this journal I released on Amazon, and it's basically a way for people to track their meals, their thoughts and emotions. I have a section in there where you can have like a little diary about your day. Like, today was terrible. I barely slept, or I had stomach pain, gas pain. I have something for your medicine. You can put your vitamins in there. Anything that you're not taking anymore, the amount of water that you're intaking, everything is in this journal, and you can track it throughout, every month. You can do week to week. It's up to you. But I just did it because I just felt like not enough people, one, had them, and then two, I made it relatable. Like, I put a bunch of paragraphs in there, just keeping people motivated throughout the bariatric journal as they're filling it out. I wrote that myself. This is coming from, I didn't have AI write it or someone else write. This is all me right here, coming from my journey. So that's why it's so special to me, because I don't care about the money. That's cool, but I did this because I really wanted to make a change. And then again, the messages I get from people saying, "Oh my God, thank you so much for making this."
Right.
And then it's different when you see people really supporting. Like,
Yeah.
these are people who don't really know me, but they just know my journey,
Right.
and they just believe in, wow, like, look at what he did.
Right.
And nothing's fake. You can see from the beginning, from when I was filming, how big everything was, my face, everything.
No
to
filters.
now. No filters here.
Yep.
No filters here. So I'm just super thankful, and I'm just so glad you were a part of my process, my journey, and trying to, just really helping me to get a better life, Dr. Lil.
Oh,
Just
it's a
like
privilege.
you can't put a price tag
No.
on
Yeah,
that,
It's a privilege.
So I know I talk a lot about myself, but Dr. Lil, I think it's time we shift over to you,
Oh,
because
boy.
so many people, they see me talk about you on TikTok, on all my socials, and I keep telling everyone how great you are.
Thank you.
So why don't we get to know a little bit about Dr. Lil?
I'm a little
take
shy
us
about
back.
that.
Take us back to a time period that you feel is comfortable for you.
My life took a lot of twists and turns. That's for
Okay.
sure. I didn't know I was going to be who I am today. It wasn't, planned. How some people know, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. I knew as a kid, I was always very empathetic. I had a sick mother, physically sick, emotionally sick, mentally sick. So I grew up in an environment where I was always a caretaker, always had to be careful what I said, always had to be careful what I did. So I kind of grew up on pins and needles a little bit, But I also knew I was really smart. And the one thing that even though my mother wasn't well, because of my Asian background, she always put a big focus on, you got to go to school, you got to be smart, you got to be a doctor, you got to do this. So, did I want to go to medical school? I had an interest in medical school because, I loved medicine. I loved helping people. But it wasn't like I woke up, I want to be a doctor. And then I loved animals. I loved nature. And I think part of that was my coping mechanism, just growing up in a sad childhood. So I kind of loved nature. I would spend time with the spiders and the birds.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll be a vet. But then when you saw sick animals and
Right.
dying squirrels, I couldn't do it. My heart couldn't do it. I always liked educating. So my mother would tell me stories about how, as a kid, I would put a little blackboard up and I'd have all my stuffed animals. Those were my students, and I'd pick on my stuffed animals. So she's like, you really should be a teacher. So I was trying to figure out, well, how can I combine all of this together? Being a teacher, love of nature, love of medical and things like that. So when I went to school, I became a biology major, secondary education, pre-med. Because I wanted to see, well, where was this going to go? Maybe I'm going to love it so much, I'm going to go into medical school. Right. So once I got into school and I did my biology degree, during my sophomore year, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and it was terminal. And it was hard. It was hard seeing her going through what she had to go through. So my career choice was just all about, let me just get out of school. Let me just get some sort of job,
Right.
because it was very difficult for me to stay at home to see her suffering so much. And there wasn't too much I could do except for the fact that part of her disease, because it was lung cancer, because of the radiation therapy,
Mm-hmm.
it destroyed the esophagus. And she ended up on a permanent tube feeding. So that was my first introduction to nutrition, really. You know,
Wow.
as an Asian, we were always, eating healthy and things like that and very holistic. But really seeing how good, proper nutrition can help somebody that has a disease.
Right.
So even though the doctors pretty much wrote her off and said, yeah, we're going to give her like 3 or 4 months, no, she went into remission.
Wow.
And that was because we learned how to do home tube feeding. So my mother could never eat again. She could never swallow anything again because the radiation destroyed her esophagus. If she said, hey, I really feel like lobster. Okay, let's make you some lobster, Mom. And we'd make it into a soup and we do a tube feeding bolus.
Wow.
Oh, I really feel like a Dunkin' Donut. Oh, okay, Mom, we'll go get you a Dunkin' Donut.
Right.
So she actually went to remission for a couple of years. Unfortunately, the cancer was so aggressive, it eventually came back and took her life. But what happened with me in my career is that because she was so sick, I couldn't go on for my master's. I couldn't go on to medical school. I couldn't go on to any of those things.
Right.
So what I did was when I graduated, I said, I need to get a job. So I got a job at a lab and became a lab tech.
Wow.
So I was still in the sciences and I was still, it was still semi-medical, wasn't nutrition. But I was able to at least make a living, try to start a little bit of my life, become independent. And then when my mother passed away and I actually had to move because I didn't want to be in New York anymore, I moved to Florida. I knew, hey, you know what? I want to do something else. Great, lab tech is fun, but I want to be with people. I want to help people. I don't want to just play with test tubes and,
Right.
I wanted more. So after I healed emotionally from the trauma of seeing someone that you love die, because I was young, I was in my 20s,
Right.
a girl in her 20s losing her mother, that was hard. It was really hard. So moved to Florida, was trying to figure out, what should I do? What should I do? I really like nutrition. So got into nutrition, was going for a master's degree. And I was just trying to figure out, how do I do this? I have to work, I have to make a living, but I want to go back to school. So it was tough, like it is for most people. But we figured out a way, and I did it and got my master's in nutrition. And during one of my internship rotations, I internship through a bariatric program. Now we're talking about, this was a long time ago.
Right.
This was back in, I don't know if I want to tell you when I
Oh,
graduated.
you're gonna say your age, Dr.
I
Love?
don't think so. Let just people guess what my age is. But I rotated through a bariatric program, and I was just so fascinated and in awe of people that had a weight problem, obesity as a disease, actually moving forward with a surgery to help them. And I was just so emotionally attached to that because I saw the bravery that the patients went through. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy being in that condition. It's not easy moving forward with surgery. And then with all the stigma and bias around it, And I loved it because it really helped me utilize everything I learned in school as a biologist, as a lab tech. I understood how to read lab reports. I understood about diet. I understood about tube feeding. I understood about all that. So I'm like, wow, bariatrics takes all of that, right? Counseling, emotional, nutrition. So I'm like, yeah, I really like this. So that was one of my fields that I really, really enjoyed. So in dietetics, you can go into so many different fields, but that's the one that I liked the most.
Wow.
But then what happened was my life turned again.
Mm-hmm.
So when I graduated, I went into a little different direction. I went into education full time. So I did some counseling, did some part-time nutrition stuff, but I went into education full time. So I think that's what really honed my education background, because I was also an educator. That was my secondary degree.
Wow.
Then things happened because life never goes in a straight line. And the owner of the school that I was the director of education, he passed away. And again, it was very emotional for me. very emotional. Because as you know, I get very attached.
Yes, yes.
So I had to leave. I couldn't stay there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, wow, what should I do? Oh, I'm going to go back into dietetics.
Wow.
So I looked in the paper. Let's see what jobs are out there. And I saw that a facility was advertising for a diabetes center. So I said, oh, okay, well, I'll counsel people with diabetes. I'll talk about that because I can do that with my degree. Because at this point, I still have my master's degree, right? So I applied and I go to the interview and the interviewer says, oh, no, it's not for the diabetic center. It's for the bariatric center.
Wow.
I'm like, the bariatric center? The ad said diabetes. They said, yeah, that was an error. It's actually the bariatric center. And I was so excited because that was my favorite rotation.
Right.
That's what I resonated with the closest and the best. So I interviewed, got the job.
Wow.
And that's how I really honed in on my bariatric skills. I got in early. You know, bariatric surgery has been performed for since the 1950s, 60s. So when I was getting in, there were a lot of changes in bariatrics, you know. Bariatric surgery centers of excellence. There were different guidelines, you know. So I was getting in kind of at the beginning, but in a better way, really. I met the most amazing surgeons, physicians, nurses, practitioners, amazing.
Wow.
So I just loved it so much, and I still do. So I decided, you know what? I want to get a doctorate.
Wow.
I didn't want to go on to medical school. I didn't want to be a PA or a nurse practitioner or anything like that. I wanted a doctorate. So I got a doctorate in health administration, and my dissertation is on interdisciplinary collaboration and perceptions of interdisciplinary collaboration of bariatric surgery centers of excellence.
Wow.
And what I looked at was what were the perceptions of collaboration between the team members, the nurses, the physicians, the surgeons, the dietitians. And what I found through my research was that doctors and nurses have a very special relationship, right? Nurses and dietitians have a special relationship.
Right.
But dietitians and doctors don't have a special relationship. As a matter of fact, we don't really collaborate that much.
Right.
So that was the finding of my study. So right then and there, I said, no, I'm going to change that. I want to change that. I want to get closer. I want to get more involved with surgeons. I want to get more involved with the process. I want to understand the surgery. And one of my mentors had said to me, and I'll always remember it, he said to me, you know what? Everything that you do in this field needs to be for the betterment of your patient. And I really took that to heart. So I wasn't just a dietitian that saw patients for pre-op and post-op. That's great. I want to keep doing that because that's how I hone my skill as well.
Right.
And I meet so many amazing people. But I wanted to go bigger than that. I wanted to affect practice because I saw things in nutrition practice with metabolic and bariatric surgery that I didn't agree with. And I do have a nickname behind my back, which is actually in front of my face now. They call me Buzzkill Lil.
Okay.
Now I'm taking it as a badge of honor, not something derogatory. I did in the beginning, and the reason why I had that reputation was I was a little bit of a bull in a china shop. If I didn't like something that was happening, I'd be, no, we can't do that, and this is why.
Right.
And I would be a bit of a loudmouth. I really would. I can tell you stories where I'd be presenting at conferences and presenting something to a room full of doctors and nurses and dietitians and people that have been in the field and say, no, patients are experiencing this. We need to do things better.
Wow.
And I remember there were several occasions where people were like, who is this person? She's just a troublemaker. She's this, she's that. But my purpose was, I'm listening to my patients. They're telling me stories. How are you telling me that this isn't true? Aren't you listening to your patients?
Right.
What can we do to make our patients' lives better and sounder? You know, and I collaborate with a lot of different professionals. You know I'm not a psychologist. I know I'm not a surgeon. I know I'm not a nurse practitioner. We need everybody on the team. Everybody.
100%.
Because it is a patient-centered approach. Interdisciplinary collaboration. That's my research.
Right.
And it just wasn't happening. It was pseudo-happening. It was happening on paper. It was happening in terms of accreditation because that's what hospitals needed. But it wasn't really happening in the real world. We were still working in our silos. Still doing the same thing over and over again, even though we knew, is that really the best thing? People maybe thought it was.
Right.
So I started to get even more involved in different associations, different professional associations that, guide bariatrics. I've written some book chapters. I've published some papers. I do presentations. So I'm in the front, not in the back.
Yeah.
And if I see that something could be changed, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Question things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one example that I can give
Mm-hmm.
is that when I was in practice in the early part of my career, because I've been in this for about 25 years now, a lot of people wanted the sleeve, but it wasn't covered by insurance. So a lot of people couldn't get it.
Right.
And then eventually it started to get covered by insurance because of all the fabulous people that were fighting to get that done.
Right.
So once we started to get familiar with patients with the sleeve gastrectomy, I was noticing that patients were telling me that some of their symptoms when they ate or drank too much sugar or had too much fat, it was very similar to the gastric bypass. So I had a lot of experience with the bypass. They were saying, yeah, I'm getting kind of like a dumping a little bit. I get diarrhea, I feel weak. I'm thinking, oh, sleeves get dumping syndrome. And that wasn't in literature anywhere.
Wow.
But I observed it because of what my patients were telling me.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to bring that out into the community, to the group and say, patients with the sleeve experience dumping syndrome. And it wasn't a belief back then.
Right.
It was like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know anatomy. You don't know this. You don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I really do. I really
Right.
do, because I'm listening to my patients. And maybe the mechanism is a little bit different, but the result is the same.
Wow.
Right? These patients are getting sick.
Right.
So what do? Tell them that it doesn't happen when it can happen?
Mm-hmm.
How about educating them that it could possibly happen, right? So I don't know what I do now with my patients. I do get very close with my patients because I give them a lot of respect.
Right.
All right. Obesity is not just personal responsibility. And it's because, eat less, exercise more.
Yep.
It's pathophysiological, it's chemical, it's hormonal,
Mm-hmm.
it's emotional, it's food, it's medications. It's just not one single thing. And that's what
100%.
makes it amazing, Metabolic and bariatric surgery is not the be all end all. It's a tool.
You just have to use it.
Exactly. But I felt a lot of people don't understand how to use the tool. So they get this tool, but nobody tells them how to navigate it. To
Right.
me, it's like, you get a brand new car, but it's a manual, and nobody's
Right.
told
How do you even drive it?
and I have to compare things to cars because I love cars,
You
right?
love cars.
Especially sports cars. But, if you stuck me in a manual shift, I wouldn't know what to do.
Right.
It's a beautiful car. It's a great tool, but
Right.
I can't drive it,
Dr. Lil, you also touched on that you weren't afraid to speak out, right?
No.
What do you think gave you the courage to speak out against these professionals that
My patience.
have all these, yeah?
The strength of my patience.
Mm,
The voice of my patients. My mentor saying everything that you do needs to be for the betterment of your patient.
wow.
Okay, so if I see that something could be done better and I
Mhm.
don't say anything,
Right.
because the other thing too, that's how you make positive changes.
Right.
Bariatric surgery nutrition is not the same today as it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's so much better now.
Right.
I mean, when I first started out in the field, you kind of knew who had bariatric surgery a little bit just by the way they looked, because I'm trained as a registered dietitian to do a nutrition-focused physical exam. And part of that is visually seeing different parts of the body to see if there's any malnutrition.
Mhm.
And you were able to see it.
Wow.
Hair didn't look right, skin didn't look right, muscle structure didn't look right. So you knew the patient had the surgery, but they weren't nourishing the way that they were supposed to nourish. They weren't taking the right vitamins, so they would develop vitamin deficiencies.
Mhm.
Not right away, but maybe years later, they're developing osteoporosis or anemias and things that could be prevented.
Right.
Now, it's so much stronger. The evidence is stronger. The guidelines are stronger. Things that we do as practitioners, we have guidance for that. But still the missing piece is, are we preparing our patients with that information?
Right.
And what I'm seeing is that patients, unfortunately, are not being properly prepared. And I think it's not a blame game. It's just patients want the surgery, surgeons want to give them the surgery. We want to help the patients' lives. But were they as prepared as you going into the surgery? No.
Right.
So that's why I feel like I have this mission that I want patients to be as prepared as they can going in. And then, then let's see how it is. You're living your life after.
Right.
Things are going to come up. But I want you to be able to go to information that's sound and credible, you know. So that's why I also started to get involved with some social media, because I saw a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and the things that I put out there, especially when you and I do things together, it's for educational purposes only. I'm not counseling the person. You know, I don't know the intricacies of their medical record, but even some of the basics, patients that have bariatric surgery, sometimes they don't even know the basics.
Yeah.
And that scares me. It scares me for the patient. It scares me for the practice. It scares me for metabolic and bariatric surgery.
Right.
You know? So that's why I just, you know, you and I together can kind of educate and help move things forward.
Right.
And be there. You're living it as a patient. I'm living it as a practitioner. So that's why it kind of makes a nice team.
It just kind of works, you know?
It kind of works.
So what keeps you motivated to want to keep changing lives, Dr. Love? Because I know you've seen thousands of patients throughout your years. I mean, what do you think keeps you going to keep trying to make an impact and keep trying to improve the bariatric space and trying to make sure that everyone is on board, not just the patient and the dietitian, but the nurses, the doctor? Like, how do we get everyone on board? Like, what keeps you motivated to keep that going in the right direction?
I love what I do. Love what I do.
I love that.
No regrets. No regrets that I didn't go to medical school. No regrets that I didn't become a vet. No regrets. I love what I do. I love being a registered dietitian. I love my patients. I love the field that I'm in. I believe in metabolic and bariatric surgery 1,000%. I understand that obesity is a disease that might need multimodal treatment, right? So maybe it's surgery, maybe it's weight loss medications, but the foundation of success is always going to be lifestyle, diet, exercise, food choices, etc. Right. So I think that's what really keeps me going. I love what I do. I love my patients, and I believe in what I do.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that.
There we go.
And if there's just, you know, a gem that you can drop for any nutritionist that wants to get into the field, what's a piece of like advice that you would give to them?
Yeah. I think a piece of advice would be never be afraid to question, you know. It really is okay. That's how we elevate and research and make things better. So if you have ideas, if you're reading, if you're seeing that something could be done better for the patient, for the profession, for the field, say it. Let's research it. You know, be a change maker. Definitely. That's how things move forward and get better. So back to you, Cory.
Yep.
Where do you think you want to take this together? What's our journey together?
Our journey, I know we've talked about it many times. I think our purpose is very big and is very aligned. We have many business meetings about this, and we always talk about...
Are they business meetings or are they just comic relief?
Hey,
Woo,
listen.
Boy, oh boy.
Combination of both at this point. You know, but I think we're so aligned on where we want to take it. It's not just, okay, let's create this protein smoothie that, you know, we can make $20 million a year on and just sell it to all the bariatric patients because they believe us, right? No, we're saying, listen, our end goal here is to one day pay for someone to get their surgery done, right?
Yeah.
These surgeries without insurance can be $15,000, $20,000 plus extra fees added in, right? The average person doesn't have that. Some people work their whole life just to have an extra $20K sitting in the bank, right? So I think if this can grow and our brand can grow in a positive way, we change lives and we're able to monetize off of that and give it back to the people who help us grow, I think that's just a win-win for both of us.
Exactly right.
Do you have any plans that you want to see from our duo here?
As you know, I'm very, very involved with, you know, the professional associations and research and nutrition and my patients, et cetera. So, and education. So I see that access to care is a big thing, you know. when you look at the percentage of the American population that would actually qualify for bariatric surgery that don't get it for various reasons, you know, I think the latest statistic I saw, it's 1% of patients that would qualify don't get it.
Wow.
And that could be for many reasons. Maybe they're afraid, maybe it's not ready. But a big part of it is access to care. They don't have access to get the surgery. They can't afford it. Their insurance doesn't pay for it. So I think if there's a way that we can continue to help, yes, we're going to be there to educate. We're going to be there to support. We're going to be there to sift through the misinformation and disinformation. We're going to grow as the information grows so we can bring that to the population. But is there other things that we can do? And I think there is. And if there's ways, now I'm trying to work on the back end too to affect policy and curriculums and things like that. So I'm definitely doing that. But if there's a way that we can also just maybe help a few individuals, or maybe I would like to help the whole world.
Right.
But I think if we can do that, that would be a really rewarding thing to do, to give back to the community.
And I think, I think starting something with that type of mindset, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we aren't coming into this like, nope, we're just chasing one thing. We're just trying to impact lives.
Yep.
And, you're doing stuff on the back end. I'm trying to keep growing the brand. We're trying to keep pushing this stuff out there. So we're just going to begin to listen to what the patients are saying, try to see how we can help everyone, whatever challenges they're going through. And, as things change, it's going to help us change as well, right?
Exactly right.
Probably certain policies that are in place might change.
Right.
So we're just going to make that shift as time is going on. But super grateful to be on this journey with you, Dr. Lil.
Me too.
It's so funny how this all started from just a simple idea. And now, look, we finally did it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Super thankful.
We're just going to keep going. We're just definitely going to keep going.
Oh, my God.
But thanks for all your inspiration. Seriously. I mean, you inspire me every day.
I appreciate
just
that.
With just who you are as a person. Very special. And just what you want to do and bring to the community of metabolic and bariatric surgery and the understanding about the obesity, and what you went through, and just being so transparent to tell your story. It's pretty special. It really is.
I appreciate that.
So
Thanks
I
so much,
appreciate
Dr.
you,
Lil.
of course.
Yes.
It's true.
Perfect way for
Definitely.
our first episode of the Heavy Topics with Dr. Lillian and Cory.
Sounds
I love
good.
It.